This is the brief, unauthorized autobiography of Adam. My story is one that is as old as anything that is everything. It is filled with discovery and wonder, accident and blunder. Till this day, I'm still a mystery. Today, I want to share with you an important story. How my theoretical existence began and how we think I look today. This is the unauthorized autobiography of an Adam. The names and places in the story have not been altered because it is an autobiography, but I will use this voice to infer you are being let in on some, quote, secret information that is in all actuality common published scientific knowledge. Please note, fun facts are used mainly in comedic effect and not at all factual. My story begins like many begin. Ancient Greece. His name is Democritus. As with most ancient Greek stories, he was a philosopher from 500 BCE because, science, theorized that all matter is composed of indestructibles called atomos. And if you had to imagine an image, you could choose a dot. The only problem with him is that he was not a scientist, but instead a philosopher. Much like Aristotle. Aristotle, on the other hand, thought things were made of earth, wind, fire, and water. Fun fact, he helped form the band from the 70s. The 370s BCE. Second on our journey, as we fast forward to the 1800s. We stop in and meet a Brit named John Dalton. This guy took his theory a little bit further than Democritus, and he shortened my name to Adam. He determined that each element corresponds to a unique atom. All atoms of the same elements are identical in physical and chemical properties. And we can change what we look like from a dot to a blueberry. Third in our journey, almost a century later, we run into another Brit, J.J. Thomson, in 1897. He used a cathode ray tube to discover the electrons of an atom. Electrons are a fast bunch, they're hard to catch, but without them, I'm positive that I wouldn't be as neutral. Don't worry, that joke will be funny later. Now we have another food model of myself, and it looks like the British delicacy plum pudding. We are nearing the halfway mark of our brief journey. Let's do a recap. Democritus said there is an indestructible point in all matter, called an atomos, means no longer divisible. John Dalton agreed on the term atom, but discovered that atoms of the same element are identical in size. J.J. Thomson discovered that electron in the atom with the cathode ray test. Next step in our journey, we go all the way over to the British Isle again, but this time a New Zealander, Ernest Rutherford. In 1911, he discovered a gold foil experiment that determines there is a dense nucleus made of protons. Our model, or interpretation of me, is that of a peach, with a dense core and electrons making up the fruit part of the model traveling around very fast. The next step on our journey is to Denmark, Niels Bohr. In 1913, he theorized that in the middle there is a core, but after the electrons are separated into rings that go around the nucleus. Keeping with our food analogies, let's use onion as this model. Electrons are stored in the levels around the core. And the last step on our journey was a culmination of a lot of scientists. James Chadwick, discovered that there are neutrons in the core with the protons. And another discovery was that electrons do not orbit the nucleus in neat planet-like orbits, but move at high speeds in an electron cloud around the nucleus. The last food analogy we will use is that of cotton candy. So to end the summary of my existence, I started as an indestructible particle. All the atoms, all the atoms of the same element look the same and have the same physical and chemical properties. I am made of a negative particle called an electron. They found out that I have positive protons in my nucleus. My electrons zoom around my core in levels. The electrons do not travel in orbits like a planet, but they travel around in layers as if they were a cloud. Finally, my last component discovered that there are neutrons in the core. So to sum it all up, what are the three components of an atom? And what are their charges? I hope you enjoyed my brief history, and that concludes the story of Adam. Until we find out more,